So I've been drawing and creating art since I was a young child, but there was a period of my life where I wasn't really doing that as much. So when I came back to it as an adult, and I started to draw again, I was using a lot of references. And there's nothing wrong with using references, but I noticed that for myself, when I started to solely rely on references to create a body of art or just a sketch or like a practice drawing or something like that, it was kind of hindering me creatively. Like there was a point in time where I would sit down and try to draw something without a reference, and I literally couldn't come up with anything in my mind. Like my imagination was shot because I was relying solely on the reference to give me the idea. And again, there's nothing wrong with references, but I do believe that it's very helpful as an artist to have sessions where you don't use a reference at all. Or if you do use a reference, you're not copying it verbatim. You're just using it as the base foundation. And then you create your own image or drawing or painting from there, especially when it has to do with human references, because I feel like that's probably the one thing that people use most, because the body is very exquisite and there's a lot to remember in different parts of the body and how they move and different angles, especially if you want the body to have movement and shape to it and not be so rigid. I can see why people would use references. But something that has been helping me, I would say, is that when I go out in my daily life or when I'm just talking to people that I know, that I see often, I'm observing their mannerisms, and not like in a weird way, like you're like dissecting their body, but it's mainly the face for me, because I draw a lot of faces. I observe the mannerisms and how they move. And, humans, although we're all intricate and different, at the end of the day, our motor functions are all the same, right? For the most part. And so when you become more observant in your daily life and you're gathering all that data, it helps to not have to use a reference all the time. And for me, it's even more helpful that I'm not necessarily in the space of realism. I create surrealistic art, so I exaggerate things anyways. So when I create art, the idea is not to get the depiction 100% correct of how it would be in real life. That's not the type of art that I want to create. So I would just recommend using your imagination more and allowing just your daily life to be your reference. Or if you don't go out much, you don't see that many people, but you watch a lot of movies or YouTube videos or whatever the case may be, allow that to help you. Like when you watch the movie, obviously enjoy yourself, but in the back of your mind, study the mannerisms of just how people move naturally, and it will kind of help you later on when you want to create something completely from scratch, like an idea that you had in your head and you just want to materialize it on paper. Because I found that the less I was using references, the easier it was to bring those ideas from my mind and materialize it onto paper, onto the canvas, exactly how I was thinking of it in my mind, or even better. And I think another reason why I mentioned that as well is because I saw a reel of this woman talking about how she doesn't have many references to create black art, specifically black women. And she was mentioning how she basically will watch porn and just pause it on certain positions and scenes and then just draw that. And although in hindsight that kind of makes a lot of sense, because the porn industry is very vast, that's something that I would never recommend and would never push anyone to do or even say, because at the end of the day, these things are spiritual, and you have to think that whatever you feed your mind with, it affects you creatively. So if you watch that type of stuff, or you're someone who will view explicit content, but you're saying in the name of art, you're not saying, I'm I'm actually using this to like get off or like to be aroused or something. Like, no, I'm using this productively. I'm using this to help me become a better artist. That's not a good excuse, because at the end of the day, these are tactics of the enemy. And I know not a lot of people, most people don't realize it from the spiritual lens, but just watching those things, even if it's just for art, it will mess with your mind, and you'll find that you will be less creative doing so, because it's evil at the end of the day. And I was just like scrolling on Instagram, and I saw the video pop up, and there are people in the comments, and I commented on someone's comment, because they were like, oh, I tried doing this, I didn't know if this was okay or not. And I responded, I was basically like, nah, bro, don't do that, especially as a man, because it affects everyone. Porn is terrible for everyone, but as a man, it affects you even more, because it's pretty much targeted to destroy men. Obviously, we know that women watch it too, but the demographic of people in terms of gender who's watching it is mostly men. I would probably guess it would probably be like 80-some% men, maybe 20-some% women. I'd probably higher than that. It's probably like 92% men, 8% women, honestly. And that's just something I wouldn't encourage anyone as an artist to indulge in. You know, there's so many other ways to find references. Sometimes when I want something very, very specific and I can't figure out how to find it online through Google or Pinterest, I will literally just recreate it myself. I'll take a picture of myself in a certain pose and then just draw that. But recently I haven't really been struggling to find poses. They're just coming to me, and I praise y'all for that. But that was another thing I wanted to add. Don't compromise your soul in the name of art. You know what I'm saying? Like, art is a big part of my life. It is my livelihood. But even within that, you still got to be smart with how you operate in this life, especially when it has to do with your spirit and the things that you are allowing into your mental, physical, and, spiritual psyche. What are the things that you're allowing into your home, which is your cuerpo, your body. And she mentioned that. I was just like, wow, really? This is what you're promoting? This is the advice you give to people? But a lot of people literally don't be thinking like that. They don't think that it's bad, or even if they think that it's bad, they will justify it in the name of art, because they're like, oh, I'm not actually like watching porn to do something. I'm just trying to get the poses right. But it doesn't matter, because your eyes are already open to that demonic energy and activity, and it will harm you and affect you, and you might actually become addicted to it more so than just drawing. Because the way Satan works, he'll give like little crumbs, little breadcrumbs to see how you'll react to it, and then the next thing you know, you're just drifting, you're sliding further and further away from the essence and the trueness of yourself. So yeah, it's just a reminder as well that try to use your imagination more. When you connect with the Most High and with yourself, and you are taking care of your body, you naturally become more connected to your spirit, and more downloads are given to you. So it's easier for you to transmute that energy into art. You don't have to go so hard finding certain things and watching these sites and searching all over the internet for a reference or a pose, because it's just downloading onto your mind, into your brain. And that's honestly the best way to do it. So that's just my advice for today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.